All right, guys, today we're going to talk about courts of record, and it's probably one of the most important tools you have to stay out of their courts. And we're going to talk about there's basically three types of courts, and most people are very confused about that. Everyone's confused, and we always think that we're in one type of court, and we're actually in another type of court. The court we are generally always in, they bring us in, is an administrative court. Administrative courts are basically corporate courts. These are courts of corporations with, rules, codes, statutes, ordinances. We always think that we're in a minimum, we always think we're in the judicial court. Now look at that word, judicial, meaning judge. And the way a judicial court works generally is the judge determines the law and instructs the jury on the law, and the jury determines the facts. And every case is determined by both the law and the facts. So in a judicial court, the judge decides the law and the jury decides the facts. Well, there's a third type of court that they don't want you to know about. And this is really how our country was actually founded. That's called a common law court. Common law courts are the courts of men and women. They're not corporate courts. And the beautiful thing about a common law court, they are courts of record, and we're going to discuss some of the elements of what a court of record is. But a common law court, in a common law court, the judge is actually a magistrate, and he's independent of the tribunal. The tribunal is the jury. And also in a common law court of record, the jury determines both the law and the facts. So the judge, in a way, is neutered. He doesn't get to dismiss your case, okay? He doesn't get to issue orders in your case. He's just a referee in this case. The jury determines both the law and the facts. And courts of record, they're throughout the United States. And I just happen to live in a state, Pennsylvania, where they actually will state right up front, they tell you, every court of Pennsylvania shall be a court of record with all the qualities and incidents of a court of record at common law. Now, the great thing about that is they're flat out telling you this is, every court of Pennsylvania is a common law court. Well, let's look at some of the elements of a common law court. Has the power to fine or imprison for contempt. Keeps a record of the proceedings. Now, most of these little traffic courts you're in, and these little tax courts or whatever these little municipal courts they drag you into, they don't keep a record of the proceedings. They don't want a record of the proceedings because what they're doing basically is that they're perpetrating fraud on a daily level, thousands of times a day. And they don't want proceedings recorded of that. So most of these little courts, these little traffic courts and tax courts, these are not courts of record. Proceeds according to the common law. Oh, how about that? The common law is unwritten law. It's common sense. Don't harm your neighbor. Don't steal from your neighbor. These are common things that don't need to be written down. Common law does not proceed according to statutes or codes. Okay? So common law is not statutes or codes. Well, all your driving stuff, all your tax stuff, all your ordinances are all statutes and codes. They are corporate statutes and codes. The tribunal, we just talked about, the tribunal, which is the jury, is independent of the magistrate, which is the judge. Well, when you're in these little administrative courts, these traffic courts, these tax courts, the judge is both the jury and the judge. He's playing both parts. A lot of problems with that, and we will get into what the many problems with that are in future videos. Court of record generally has a seal, but that's optional. But there's a thing I'll point out here which you'll find rather odd. I found it odd with the seal. Let's get some other things straight too, basically. There's something called the Supremacy Clause. It's Article 6, Clause 2. They call it the Supremacy Clause, which actually states the Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made, or which shall be made, under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. Now, what this is basically saying is you're not bound by the Constitution. The Constitution only protects your rights, your God-given rights. It secures your God-given rights. That's the purpose of the Constitution. But your public servants, your government, they are bound by the Constitution. They're bound by the federal Constitution, the state Constitution, the laws of the state. They're bound by all that. Now, the federal Constitution is the king for them, basically. In other words, it usurps everything. It's king. It trumps everything. It even trumps the state constitutions. In other words, if there's anything in the state constitution that's contrary to the federal constitution, the federal constitution wins out. And then under the state constitution, you have the state laws, the statutes, the codes, the ordinances. That all falls under the state constitution. And all those ordinances and codes and statutes, which are your driving codes, your tax codes, they could never supersede the state constitution, because the state constitution is supreme to all those ordinances and codes. Now, think about the hierarchy. Those ordinances and codes can't, and the statutes can't supersede the state constitution, and the state constitution can't supersede the federal constitution. So anything that's in contrary to the federal constitution, from state constitution down, as it says, is not withstanding. But that's not what's going on with a lot of these courts, as we'll discuss. But here's one of the things that I really found fascinating. Here's a typical, this is a traffic citation, okay? And this is the court. It's a little court in a little town called Media, Pennsylvania. So this is the court. And look, we're talking about seals. One of the things of a court of record, it has a seal. Well, this actually isn't the Pennsylvania State Seal. It's actually called the Coat of Arms. Now, notice this coat of arms here. All these numbers are mine, and we're going to discuss this document and a further thing, why everything on here is fraud. We're going to go over that. But this is a coat of arms. This is not the Pennsylvania seal. Do you see any lettering around here? It says Pennsylvania or Delaware County or anything? Nothing. There's nothing there. So this is a coat of arms that, and listen, every seal or logo, whatever, they have no standing. In other words, a seal does not give any entity any more authority over you than not having a seal. I mean, the seal does nothing, okay? It's just an identifier. But I got a kick out of this because this is the Pennsylvania coat of arms. And when you read about coat of arms and what they are, basically back in the days when guys fought and they had a coat, they had armor, suits of armor. They couldn't distinguish each other from one from another, so they would put the coat of arms on their shields so they could distinguish who was who. So when I look at the coat of arms, it's sort of like it's a battle thing. It's like a battle logo. So it's almost like these people called the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania are declaring war upon me because they got a coat of arms on there. They don't even have the seal of Pennsylvania on there. But the main thing I want to point out on this document is I want to show you something right here with this is the 7th Amendment to the Constitution. And now this is fascinating when you read this and you understand its true meaning. In suits at common law, how about that? Suits at common law. In other words, not statutes and codes, suits at common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20. The right of a trial by jury shall be preserved, and no facts tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of the common law. Wow, that's pretty fascinating when you look at it, because here's what's going on. Read this one part. And no fact tried by jury shall otherwise be re-examined. That means appeals. In other words, when a common law jury makes a decision, there's no appeals. The common law court is the Supreme Court of the land, not the Supreme Court, okay? And you know that by not even the Supreme Court could come in and overturn a common law court decision, because it states right there, no facts tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States. So now we know these elements of what a court of record is. And basically a court of record, whether your state, like my state, comes out and just states it's a court of record. Every court of Pennsylvania is a court of record, and some of your states may actually state that too. But even if they don't, remember the supremacy clause. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land for them. So we know the supremacy clause exists, and it states that suits at common law. Well, a common law suit has to be a court of record. Can only be a court of record. It's because court of records proceed according to the common law, just as it states there. Every court of Pennsylvania shall be a court of record with all the qualities and incidents of a court of record at common law. Qualities and incidents of a court of record at common law. So, if every court of Pennsylvania is a court of record, and this little traffic court over here that's saying you can appeal, and I know this traffic court, there's no jury that's going to be there with this traffic court. The judge is the magistrate's the judge and the jury, so that's not an element of a court of record. I know these are not going to be recorded, this little podunk court here. They're not going to record these proceedings. So they're not. Let's see, look at that court of record there. Let's come to the elements of court of record here. Proceedings according to the common law, and keeps a record of the proceedings. Well, we know they're not keeping a record of the proceedings. They're not proceeding according to the common law because they're proceeding according to this. Where is it at? Look, little citation number over here. They're proceeding according to their little citation. So we're not proceeding according to the common law. So we're missing a lot of key elements here, aren't we? We know the tribunal's not independent of the magistrate. And look, even their seal's bogus. They got a coat of arms on there. It's not even a Pennsylvania seal, the official Pennsylvania seal. So I would deduce from this, and remember, it's just the supremacy clause states that the Constitution's the supreme, law of the land. So I would argue that every court of the United States of America is a court of record, because that's your protection. In suits at common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, you have a right to a trial by jury, and that shall be preserved. Well, that's a right that they can't take away from you. Okay, but what they're trying to do is they're trying to drag you into these administrative courts. So if I know these things and I read this, that every court of Pennsylvania shall be a court of record, and I know that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, then every court of the United States of America must be a common law court. It should operate according to the common law court if you invoke it. So if I look at this, and these people over here, I know they don't, they're telling me, look, you shall have the right to appeal within 30 days for a trial de novo. But if I look over here at the 7th Amendment, it tells me no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States. So, this isn't a court of record, is it? This is an administrative court. Now, when I look at this, if I were to step into this court, aren't I waiving my 7th Amendment right? Because I have a 7th Amendment right that's secured to have in suits of common law with the value exceeds $20, I have a right to a trial by jury, and that shall be preserved. Is my right to trial by jury being preserved with this little traffic court here? Nope. So this is not a court of record. So I would argue, and I'm going to argue, you're going to see, that this is not a court of Pennsylvania. It can't be a court of Pennsylvania because every court of Pennsylvania shall be a court of record. Nah, not a court of record here. So why on earth would I step into this court? Because I look at it this way. Not only am I waiving multiple federal and state constitutionally protected rights, I'm actually contributing to crimes that are being committed. Crimes that are being committed against me. And there's a host of state and federal crimes that we're going to cover in future videos. But in a way, if I step into this court, I'm waiving my federal constitutional rights, my state constitutional rights, and I'm contributing to crimes being committed against me. So this is not a court of record, and I have no intention of showing up to this court of record. And there's paperwork I'm going to submit into this case with affidavits and whatnot. You're going to see step by step my paperwork, and I'm going to go over everything with you. I'm just not going to not show up. They've already been served an affidavit before this court, and they're in default. And they're they're fishing here. They're trying to get money where they can't get it. And I think it's even funny that they don't have my name in capital letters here. So I do appreciate that. But they're fishing here. They don't have anything. So, but before I step in, I'm going to hit them with an affidavit of status and another document that's going to highlight point for point. You see here, I have them numbered. It's going to show everything on here is fraud, and I'm going to point out why it's fraud. And there's everything on their document. There's basically 25 sort of elements on their document. Every one of them's fraud. So we're going to go over that. So they're going to get the affidavit of status. They're going to get this document, and they're going to get a notice of claim, a notice of trespass, a notice of forgery, a notice of fraud, all in one document. And I'm going to explain why what they're doing is unlawful. And when I address these people, Mr. Andrew Goldberg over here, I'm not addressing him as honorable. I don't address him as judge. He's Andrew Goldberg, public servant. He is a public servant. That's all he is. We don't have titles in this country, okay? We don't have nobility. So there is no esquire or judge or honorable this. These are meaningless. That's tripe. They're meaningless sayings. Honorable. Yeah, this guy's about as honorable as. Yeah, I don't want to say it. I don't want to get into it. But there's nothing honorable about this guy. Okay. There's nothing honorable about these judges, because this man has an oath to uphold the federal and state constitution, and he's not doing that. And really what he's doing is sedition and treason. And actually, I'll point that out in my documents that Mr. Goldberg's going to get. And I'm going to take Mr. Goldberg on a little journey that he's not going to believe. And I'm going to teach you how to do this with every man or woman that's a public servant that's supposed to be there for you, that somehow have it in their head that they are your owners. They control you and dictate what you shall do and what you shall not do. So we're going to go over all that. We're going to dispel that whole thing. But that's the main thing I wanted you to see, is how important a court of record is. And go look in your state and see if they say anything about your state courts being courts of record, because there are many states that do that. They'll come out and admit that they're courts of record. But even if they don't, you know it's got to be a court of record right here in suits at common law. Okay, because only courts of record proceed according to the common law. So if you're in any court where you can appeal the verdict, you're not in a common law court. You're in a judicial court or administrative court. You always want to be in a common law court, and I'm going to show you how to get in a common law court and sort of open up a common law court. And this is one of the main things they want to hide from you. Like, I've heard people say he had a friend that was a judge, and when he would say common law to him, the guy would wince. I'm sure he did wince, because common law is that's where the truth is told. Because in common law, we now deal with witnesses, where if somebody's got a claim against you, a man or woman, they're going to have to walk in there and testify that they have personal knowledge of this claim against you. And that leads into all perilous different things for them, because they never have personal knowledge of anything. The people on the other side, that they're coming at you, they never have a witness, and there's nobody over there with personal knowledge. And in future videos, I'm going to show you how to destroy their attorneys. And once you take the attorney out, when you talk to these people, and I've had many conversations with local people, property assessors and town managers, borough managers. These are button pushers. They have no understanding of what they do. They get these jobs. Someone told them, you do this, you do that. And they, like the good little puppets they are, they follow the script. And anything you bring to them that's a legal question or something that they don't know, which is mostly everything, it goes right to their attorneys, okay? And that's so wrong on so many levels, because their attorney is basically a private contractor. That's all he is. So when these people are making these claims against you, these government people, and you're questioning them, and they say, well, I can't answer that legal question. Well, wait a minute, you're making legal judgments about me right here. You've got to talk to my attorney or our attorneys. Well, that's like telling me to go talk to your tiling contractor or the guy who cuts your grass. What's your attorney got to do with anything involving me? And when you start to see this, and we're going to decode this matrix, and you start throwing affidavits around, you're going to put these people on their heels. And a lot of people have done it already, and we're going to walk through that. But I wanted to get this cemented in your head that you're entitled to a court of record. And court of records, this is your safety point, this court of record, because it proceeds according to the common law. And that takes out all that statute and code crap, all those ordinances and statutes, and we'll get into that further too, about how your physical location can't make you subject to somebody else's ordinance and codes. But that's it. So I want to keep these short. I don't want to keep these too long, because I think if you do things in like little bits, it's easier to comprehend and easier to digest than to go ahead and do like an hour and a half, 2 hour video and stuff, because you start to lose people. But I just wanted to cement that in. Court of record. Learn it, know it, live it. It is your safety point to stay out of their courts. So just keep studying, stay strong. Don't let these people intimidate you. They don't have the power over you that they've led you to believe they do. You have the power, except over the years it's been taken away from you from just schooling and media, and even things you've learned from your family. You've learned that, well, my dad did it, my grandfather did it, and you do it. Well, we're going to sort of unwind your mind. We're going to basically, it's sort of like a reprogramming. You've been programmed the wrong way, and like Yoda said, you must unlearn what you have learned. Well, we're going to unlearn a lot of stuff here. So that's it for today. Take care, best wishes, and don't let these people get you down. Thanks.